Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. If you're new and you don't mind going down and hit that red subscribe button for me, we are super close to hitting 100 subscribers. I honestly can't believe it. We've grown so much quite fast, and it would just mean the world to me if after this video I look down and have 100 subs. So if you guys could do that for me, that would be great, and throw a like on this video. But that's enough talking. Let's get into it, guys. Now, everyone, the first thing I want to talk about is going to have to be reliability. Now, I've owned this car for about, well, over 2 years now. And so I bought it with 79,000 miles. I don't know if you can see, but I've got 105,510 miles on this car. Now, a lot of YouTubers are like ashamed to tell you how many miles are on the car. I'm not exactly sure why that is. Maybe they're just embarrassed that they have a high mileage car. I don't know. I'm not ashamed. I think it's cool. I drive my car. I daily drive it, even with the gas prices. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I get 19 miles per gallon. You know, I mean, I've been driving pretty regular. I haven't been racing or anything recently. It's just normal daily driving. I get around 19. Maybe you can stretch it to 20 if I'm doing more highway. But where I work right now, it's more city driving. Right now I've got the engine light on. That's completely my fault. That's because I removed the catalytic converters. So it's basically saying they're inefficient, which I don't know how they're inefficient because they're not there. But anyway, guys, there's no problem with that. That's all me. If I would put the cats back on, I would have no engine light. So yeah, 105,000 miles. I've driven it around 27,000 of those miles. I do regular oil changes, regular washes, and topping off coolant, stuff like that. And that's another thing I want to talk about. So if you're buying one of these cars, one of my buddies, right, he bought one from a dealership with about 60,000 miles, and he thought, he was like, oh, it's a good car, you know, 60,000 miles, not a lot of miles for a Coyote at all. But I mean, you could just tell, and the mods that were done to it was all suspension mods, and he had like a Holly intake on a Mustang. It's really strange. And the cold air intake was handmade. It was a huge PVC pipe that someone kind of threw in there. You know, like stuff like that. If you see it, you can just tell it's been ragged on, guys. Even if it's low mileage, those 60,000 miles might have all been at the track. Like, you do not want to buy a car like that. The one I bought my car was from, this guy was about 59 years old, like mid-50s, and he had a kid. He literally had to take out the car seat for his kid when I bought the car from him. So yeah, like, I knew he didn't dog out the car like crazy, which of course you never know. But you got to do some research. You got to go on their Facebook, go on their Instagram, see if they have videos of them racing and doing burnouts, so you know if you need to stay away from them. Now, don't get me wrong, these cars can handle a lot. You know, I mean, I take it out every once in a while and I beat on it for sure, but also know its limits. We're talking about the automatic today. I don't have any experience with the MT82, the manual transmission. This is the 6-speed 6R80 automatic, and it's been great to me. I haven't had any problems. Even after I got the Lund tune, it's been driving great. Many of the forums I read, the only problems I do see with these cars is from the manual transmissions, the MT82. I'm not saying don't get those, because I know there's tons of aftermarket support for them that you could beef them up and that they'll never break. But the 6R80, I just don't understand. There's so many people that are like, you're not gonna have fun in an automatic car. Like, I promise you, you could have a lot of fun, and it sounds great. You just have so much fun either way. As long as you're responsible when driving and don't do anything crazy, you'll have fun, guys. You don't have to have a manual state car to do exciting things, have fun with your friends, cruising around. But yeah, back to the reliability. After 27,000 miles, the only problem I had was like from a gas station, right? So the car started misfiring. I got an engine light after just cruising around, and this was when I had my catalytic converter still on, so like I knew something was actually wrong with the car. So I brought it to the dealership. They put new spark plugs. That didn't fix it. New coil packs. Then they did the whole intake manifold, and then they finally checked for bad gas, and it turned out to be just bad gas. They drained out the gas, put in some new premium, and she was rolling fine again. So it's all good. That was literally the only problem I've had with my car at all. Now, of course, I'm not saying any 5.0 you buy with 100,000 miles is just going to be absolutely perfect. Again, you have to look at the seller, do your research, like I said, and you just got to have good judgment. I wanted to bring up 2 other points I've read on forums. So, people have a lot of problems with the back deck lid peeling. That's just that big black piece in the back that has the GT badge, the Circle GT badge on the back. That peels. Yeah, 100%. It definitely does peel. My friend had a V6, his peeled. This one, when I bought it, was already replaced with an RTR deck lid. So I'm thankful for that. But guys, I mean, that's a $300 fix. It's not hard to do. So I would not let that stop me from buying this car at all. And the other complaint was the hood was peeling. I've never had any of my friends say that their hoods were peeling. I've seen that on a few articles that was maybe an issue. I mean, I live in Louisiana, and right now it's 95 degrees outside, super hot. And I mean, I haven't had any problems like that with the hood. For sure, the deck lid though, like, it will peel. If it starts peeling on you, don't buy the same Ford deck lid. My friend did that with his V6. He bought another deck lid from Ford. It's just gonna peel again. It's the same thing. So you gotta buy like an RTR deck lid or an aftermarket one from American Muscle that's actually of good quality, and you'll be fine. I've had that one for 2.5 years, and it's been great. Now I'm just thinking of things to talk about, like the miles per gallon. Like I was saying earlier, I get around 19, you know, averaging. I drive city and highway. And right now, premium is obviously super expensive, and I have to put premium in my car because I'm tuned on 93, which kind of sucks. But in my opinion, if you're driving a nicer sports car, then I think you should be putting premium in anyway. It's better for your engine and preserving it and whatnot. So yeah, it's like $5.20 a gallon right now, and that's the highest it's ever been in my lifetime, at least. And my tank is about 13 gallons, so it's about $65 to $67 to fill up my car, and that lasts me, with how I drive to work and stuff, I don't drive super far, so that lasts me like a whole week. And some people say it's kind of relative, you know, that might be super expensive for you, and that might be kind of cheap. I mean, it used to be $30-something to fill up my whole car, and now it's almost double that, so that sucks for sure. But it's not gonna stop me from driving it. I daily drive this car. I love every minute of it for sure, manual or not. But we're almost to the spot I wanted to show y'all. It's a little parking garage. It's super fun to just mess around up there with my friends. But yeah, I'll see y'all there. Now, the top of the garage may be closed today, but if you have not already seen the video of when I took my catalytic converters off, I'm about to show you why it might be fun for you guys to go watch it, because this car sounds absolutely insane in here. I'm just gonna do a baby rev because it's so loud. Yeah, it's so loud, but I love it. It sounds awesome to me. Let's get parked. Let's park right here. Yep. Now, for the first reason, we talked about reliability on why you should get a Mustang. Personally, like I've been mentioning, I have not had many problems at all with my car, really none, other than the bad gas. So I think reliability overall for me personally in my 2013 Mustang GT Premium has been great. Now, for number 2, I think the reason everyone should get one of these cars is gonna have to be the aftermarket support. From 2011 to 2014, well over, I think it was like 200 or 300,000 of these were made. It was a ton of these cars were made, guys. So now that might ring a bell in your head like, oh, they're common, I don't want one. Well, because so many were made, there's a ton of aftermarket support for them, so you could really make them your own with rims and tires, different interior, different steering wheels, hoods, wraps, whatever. They got it for these cars, louvers, all kind of things you could buy. But that's really number 2 for you. And the parts are super easy to find. So if something does break, hopefully not, but if something does, they've made so many of these. Used and new parts are super easy to come by. And mechanics have worked on these cars many times before because there are so many. So they've seen everything, I promise. So they know what they're doing. You can go to backyard mechanics, and most of them even can fix these things because there's just so many of them out there. And the parts are plentiful, so that's great. So for number 3, the reason I feel like you should get this car is the price. So the prices are rising drastically on these cars. I'm not ashamed to say. So I picked up this car with 79,000 miles for around $15,000. So right now, in the state I live in, Louisiana, you cannot find a car in this condition for that price anymore. They're upwards of 19 to 20 grand. Even with 100,000 miles, one in this clean of condition is gonna be around 19,000 to upwards of 20. And I feel like they're really only gonna keep going up because with all the electric cars coming out, I really don't think Ford is gonna make another straight axle Mustang. So if you're into that, a lot of people call this car the modern Fox body because it is a straight axle car, and they were once a little bit cheaper, but now they're pretty expensive. All in all, I mean, you get into this car, you throw a supercharger on it, you know, you build out the Gen 150 that's in it, you could be cheaper than buying a newer S550 and be making a lot more power reliably. Number 2 and number 4 are kind of the same. That's what I was saying with the maintenance. There's not, you know, it's normal car maintenance, oil changes, all that stuff. And like I was saying, the parts, they're everywhere. So if something does break, it's pretty cheap to fix. And, you know, it's not gonna be as cheap as like a Corolla or something because it is a sports car. You know, like spark plugs are a bit more expensive than normal, but that's to be expected. It is a sports car. You know, the tires you want to put on it are probably gonna be more expensive than tires you would throw on a Prius or something like that. But of course, because you want grip for all the power it's making. Now for number 5, I'm gonna have to say the drivability. Now, if you're daily driving this car, which I do personally, I think it's fine. You know, it's not the most comfortable ride ever. I have my car lowered, and of course you have that straight axle. So the newer S550s come with independent rear suspension, which means when you hit a bump on, say, your back left tire, just that tire is gonna go up and down, basically. But with a straight axle car, if you hit a bump with your left tire, your whole back axle is pretty much gonna go up and down, which isn't as comfortable, and my car is lowered as well. So, you know, it's not as comfortable probably as a stock car would be. But I do think it's worth it for the appearance. And if you are gonna be doing more racing with this car, a lot of people wanna buy these just for the racing, which is, you know, a great idea in my opinion. The straight axle is great for that. It's very efficient at putting the power to the ground compared to independent rear suspension, and it's a lot lighter in most cases, so that is great for the strip and racing your friends. That's pretty much it for this video. I hope you got some good information out of it. If you have any questions at all, like I said, I've been owning this car for 2.5 years, going on 3, so I feel like, you know, my advice and what I know might be somewhat relevant to you. I hope it is. And if it was, drop a like on this video and make sure you subscribe. Thank you to my absolutely beautiful 65 subscribers right now. That is absolutely amazing that we hit 65. I hope we can hit 100 after this video, and I will see you next time.